Hi, welcome to Cringe Club, the podcast that celebrates everything cringe. Every week, I speak to a different hilarious guest about their most embarrassing moments. But don't worry, because what is said in Cringe Club, well, gets broadcast to you lot. So this week, we had a message in from someone called Taylor, who would very much like to share her shame. She says she was buying a loaf of bread in the shop with her mum and her sister, but as she went to leave after paying, she accidentally said, "love you," instead of "thank you." Now, if you've listened to the Ben Davis episode of Cringe Club, you will hear about the embarrassing time I did the same to my postman. So give that a listen to find out more. Anyway, let's get on with the show. In the Cringe Club today, we have an author whose books, Being Miss Nobody, Jemima Small Girl in Real Life, Bad Influence, and I Dare You, have opened up so many important conversations between me and my tween and teen daughters about these issues that so many young people are facing. It is, of course, the queen of teen herself, Tamsin Winter. Welcome to the Cringe Club, Tamsin.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. Well, actually, slightly nervous to share some of these stories because up until now, most of them I've kept to myself. I will be sharing some never before shared footage of my childhood cringes, of which there are multiple.
Well, that's good because this is your chance to sort of get it all off your chest. All those things that you look back on and make you really cringe. I reckon if we share all our shame, we can make peace with it and even embrace it. So that's what that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think
today.
it's going to be quite empowering, actually. And also, dredging my childhood for these moments of cringe has brought me lots of new material that I can use in my books.
Exactly, because you like to write characters who end up embracing their cringe, would you say?
I definitely write characters that start off really not wanting to be themselves, or they feel this real lack of confidence, they don't fit in. And over the course of the story, they definitely embrace who they are. And I feel a lot of that is things that maybe aren't popular at school, but are kind of authentic to themselves. And I definitely feel that's part of what I have done over the course of my life, perhaps where I felt like I didn't fit in or I didn't enjoy school. And I've definitely, had that kind of character arc, I suppose, of embracing who I am. It's taken me until my late 30s, 40s to do that.
But it is actually really useful because I've used a lot of stuff that happened to me at school in my books as well. So actually, all that cringe that we, felt uncomfortable with as kids, we're cashing it in now, aren't we?
I think everything is material. Absolutely
Exactly.
everything is material.
Exactly.
And my parents have provided quite a lot of embarrassing moments that I've put versions of in my stories, 100%.
Yeah, and I can see that because for those of you who don't know, Tamsin and I actually met at school. We went to primary school together, and so we've known each other a very long time. So I can confirm her parents did provide a lot of cringe back then, as lovely as they are. But we're all embarrassed of our parents back then, weren't we?
I think Sylvia and David are quite famous in our friendship group. I think everyone's got a Sylvia and David memory that is completely embarrassing. Yeah,
everyone, exactly. And again, all good material. So my daughter and I actually just recently finished your latest book, I Dare You, which is all about these online challenges and that go too far. Now, we both cried at the end in a good way. There was lots of laughs in there as well, but one of us didn't heed the warning at the front of the book not to try the dares at home. And embarrassingly, it wasn't my 12-year-old.
Well, this is the super lips challenge,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Where it is really dangerous. I should say, do not try it at home. But with all of the challenges, most of them, I did try them at home, and that super lips where you put a glass over your mouth and suck out the air, so it expands your lips. It's supposed to give you this sort of freebie, well, I suppose like a cheapskate version of lip fillers. And I tried that just to feel how it, you have to for research, don't you? And know what it feels like. And it was after that when I'd sent it to my editor. And she said, oh, we need to put a warning in because it is so dangerous, and sent me a link to this article about a surgeon who's now fixing lips that
Oh
have
my
done this Super Lips
God.
challenge. So I
Oh,
did fall for exactly the same issue with that challenge
thank
as
God.
well.
That does make me
Hopefully no
feel better.
permanent damage.
No. But no, I chickened out before it got too far and it started to, really hurt.
Yeah, I
But
definitely didn't. I
no, my
had a
kids
circle.
yeah, my kids didn't, try any. I did see that my daughter had been Googling, chili peppers, so I'm hoping she won't be able to get her hands on any of the really hot ones that are obviously in the
I
book.
well, this is the thing, actually. A lot of supermarkets do sell them, and that was the only reason I was allowed to put it in the book
Oh,
because,
really?
yeah, my editor said, "Oh, we don't want the young people eating all these really hot peppers. They can be dangerous."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, they sell them in Tesco, so I don't think they
They
can be
can't
that
yeah.
bad."
No.
Also, I feel like my readers are quite intelligent, probably more intelligent than I would have been at that age, and definitely more than my characters,
Yeah.
to not hopefully try those
Yeah.
dares at home.
Let's hope your readers are more intelligent than me, basically.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm a low bar. It's a real issue, actually, these online challenges. There's some really dark, horrendous ones. Like, I used to play dares a lot when I was a kid, but we did things like, I dare you to go in Superdrug and ask for some itchy bum cream and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, that would be nothing compared to what they do now. I
Well,
mean, to be
also,
fair, we probably would have filmed that for a laugh had we had phones.
I know. I'm just so glad that I didn't have a phone back
Yeah.
then.
But anyway, so let's go back to some of those cringes, shall we? Can you remember one of the first times you felt that total, utter embarrassment?
I feel like all of my childhood memories are filled with embarrassment and shame. I don't think I can remember anything happy. As bad as that sounds, I just think the ones
Yeah,
that really
yeah.
stick in my memory are the really embarrassing ones. And one particular embarrassing one, I even now I feel embarrassed looking back, even though it was all those years ago. I was about 8 or 9, I think. Possibly I was 10. I was definitely too old to be doing this kind of thing. And we'd done a bike ride with my mum and dad and friends and family. And we went around Rutland Water, which is about over 20 miles. So I don't feel like this is completely unreasonable of me.
Yeah.
And I was really thirsty. It was in those days way before bottled water
Oh, God, yeah.
or anyone even drank
Yeah.
water. So I don't know why my parents obviously didn't take water on this bike ride. So I'd done this big long bike ride, absolutely dying of thirst. And of course, my mum was talking to her friends in a kind of group. And I was saying, Mum, I'm really thirsty. I'm going to die, as dramatic as I was
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
age. And she was completely ignoring me as they did in the 1980s. And I thought, to demonstrate how thirsty I was, my mouth was so dry. I was honestly feeling like I was dehydrated.
Well,
To
20 miles.
demonstrate,
Fair
it's a
enough.
long way, right? To demonstrate how thirsty I was, I licked my mum's arm, and then she turned around. And actually, it wasn't my mum. It was my mum's friend, Barbara, who had the same kind of haircut. And obviously,
Oh,
I did what you
God.
do at that age, which is just to walk away.
Yeah.
Just
After
absolutely
you've
walk
done your
away.
lick.
No explanation. And my mum is still friends with Barbara now, and I still bump into her occasionally. And I think she must still see me as that dry-tongued
Oh.
youngster who once just randomly licked her arm at Rutland Water.
Does she cover her arms up when she sees you? Puts like a jacket
I
on?
I feel like she must do. She must wonder why I did it, because I never obviously didn't
Yeah.
explain. The look on her face was one of pure horror, and mine was as well.
Now you've explained it because you wanted to demonstrate your dry tongue. I thought you meant you were just trying to lick some of her sweat off because you were so thirsty.
I was just trying to demonstrate how thirsty I was. Like, Mum, this is serious. You can feel it for yourself. So I think that's one of my probably most
That's pretty
embarrassing
bad.
moments.
And did you get some water in the end?
I licked the wrong mum. No one else
Oh.
noticed. So it was just this
Oh,
private
Tamsin.
moment between me and Barbara. I know.
Oh, I
Awful.
don't know how we survived. We didn't drink any water back then, did we? Now I can't leave the house. I won't let my kids go like down the end of the road without a bottle of water.
I don't know how lucky they are,
don't.
honestly.
Exactly. They don't have to lick Barbara's arm. They can just dig out their Stanley cup for like barrels of water.
I also feel nowadays, if your child said, I'm really thirsty, thirsty, you would just get them a drink. It was
Oh
just not
God,
like that
totally.
back in the
Yeah.
day. You know, it was like, you're thirsty. Well, when I was younger, we were always thirsty. You have to put up with it. It was definitely that kind of childhood where you just put up with it and
Yeah.
shut up,
Yeah. I remember
which is
being
very different.
thirsty and going in and pouring myself a big glass of like fresh orange, not squash. And my dad coming in and go, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm really thirsty." He's like, "If you're thirsty, you drink water." Like, as if because it was like the posh orange. Honestly, if that'd been my daughter, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm glad you're getting the vitamin C down, yeah."
Parents were just completely unreasonable. I
They
remember
were.
whenever they did like the big supermarket shop, I remember we were just never allowed to eat anything.
Oh
Um,
God, yeah.
you know, this is for this, you're not having it now. And I remember my sister and I, my big sister, we got these bread rolls and it was like a pack of 6 and we opened them and we were playing this game of just making these what we called the bloody caves, where we squirted tomato ketchup all in these bread rolls. And of course, mum caught us and as a punishment made us eat the bloody caves. So we had to just
But
eat
you
basically.
weren't planning on eating them. You were just
No, we were
playing.
just playing.
Well, I don't blame Sylvia. What a waste.
It was a waste.
It's
Food
a waste
waste
of.
was the
Oh
worst
God.
thing for like boomer parents. I think
Oh
my dad
yeah,
even now remembers at the rationing that he had after the
yeah.
war. And I don't know for sure that he's being realistic, that he, you know, he grew up in the like 1950s. Maybe there was still rationing, but yeah, this food waste was like the
Yeah,
worst thing you could possibly do.
and the mentions of all the starving children in Africa, that's what we got in our
Yeah.
house. If you didn't eat, and there's starving children in Africa that'd be grateful for those bloody buns of ketchup.
I know. And also you sit at the table until you're finished. And
Yeah.
I definitely would be as stubborn. I think, oh, it's fine, I'll sit here all night. You're gonna eventually have to send me to bed. Um, yeah, no entertainment, sat on your own in the dining room. I
I
definitely always
remember having
caved
to sit
in.
there 'cause my thing was I didn't like vegetables, and I was so dramatic. I remember, like, eating it and actually heaving. I can't get it down. I can't.
Like
I
fake
mean,
heaving. Fake
yeah,
heaving.
fake
Yeah.
heaving, but then I think I did it so much, I did think I was feeling sick when I put the thing in, and then mum was like, "Oh, you better get down then." Soft touch, didn't she? Bit of heaving on the
Oh,
broccoli.
she's such your parent both of your parents are real soft touches, I feel, compared to what mine were like.
Either that or
Um
they just wanted an easy life and they couldn't be bothered to argue with me anymore about
That
the
is
broccoli.
very possible.
So that's your earliest embarrassment. I mean, did things get better from there?
Well, I think in the summer before I started secondary school, I made the decision of having a perm. My mum had a perm. I think even my dad had a perm at one point. It was like,
Perm
to
family.
me, you know, 11 years old, it was the height of sophistication to have a perm, and I thought it was very grown up.
Mm.
So I went and had a perm, and it really did not suit me, and it was very short. The hairdresser had just cut it way short. So I started year 7 with this like middle-aged woman perm. So it just went back downhill from there, really. I also used to hairspray it so much. And I remember a boy accidentally brushed against my hair and he said, "Oh my gosh, your hair it's rock hard."
Like
And it
hard,
was. It
rock
was
solid.
rock solid hair. It was yeah, it was really quite awful. But I think once I'd kind of done it, I had to really
Well,
commit to
yeah.
it.
Um, I, I, I think you need to share a picture of that one day. I want to see
I
this perm.
did actually. It was my school photo, and when Jemima Small versus the Universe came out, one of the brainwaves of the marketing department at my publisher said, you know, why don't you share some of your childhood pictures? And of course, all of them, I've got this perm, and my year 7 photo, I did share it on. Somewhere on my social media, kind of owning that. Oh my gosh, look. And actually, I had really goofy teeth and I didn't get a brace until much later on in life. And I kind of feel sorry for her a little bit that I was so
Oh,
embarrassed about who I was back then. And I do
yeah.
feel a bit sorry for like young Tam. I mean, a lot of it was of my own doing, of course.
I'm
But
just gonna say. I mean, I bet it was totally your decision to get that. I bet
Yeah,
you
but
looked cooler than you think.
I was brought up in a village, and I feel like I wasn't really exposed because you don't have the internet. You're not really exposed to
No.
fashion. So a lot of it I just took from Sylvia Winter, who was obviously in her 40s by then. And it was the same, I felt the same about blue eyeshadow. I definitely wore blue
Oh,
eyeshadow. I
yeah.
thought that was really cool. But of course, my mum was her fashion era was like 1970s, her references. So yeah, it was just fashion disasters, I think, from start to finish in secondary school.
Yeah, when I look back at pictures of me, I do look really square. I mean, it doesn't help that like shell suits were the height of fashion and stuff like that
I
back then.
loved
So,
and I remember on one of the first non-uniform day, I wore a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles T-shirt that I really liked, and everyone kind of took the mickey out of me for that for years afterwards, actually.
well, they know
Um
nothing because I had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle t-shirt too, and they were cool. I remember being quite proud of mine. But, I had a massive crush on Raphael the turtle.
Yeah, I used to have a crush
He was my favourite.
on cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Um, I used to like that one from the Thundercats,
Oh,
the guy that used to
Lion-O.
drive the no, not Lion-O. I
Oh,
never really liked the main character. I
Panther.
always
Was it
liked
Panthera?
Panthro, who
What with
drove
the
the tank.
ears? Who drove the tank? Oh no.
But his muscles, I think, just got
He was
me.
muscly because he was sort of topless as well, wasn't he, with his sort of grey panther skin? Oh,
It
how
was
weird. Yeah,
I
no,
know,
I
I do
never.
look I think you didn't see people like that in real life, did you? So you had to
Yeah, yeah.
basically fancy people on cartoons.
And there wasn't as much
Um,
telly. A lot of the telly was cartoons on like after school TV.
and they were animals, so it's weird having these super muscular
He
human-like
was.
animals. Of course, you're gonna develop a bit of a crush at that
Yeah,
age when you've got
exactly. Look at
nothing else to sort of
He-Man
put it
and
on.
all that lot. They were all real hunks, weren't they? So they talk about kids today having unrealistic images. We were fantasizing over like half lion, half men. So,
Uh,
you know,
yeah,
so it's
exactly, and
got
there was
it.
only ever
What's
one female
worse?
character in each program, you know, the sort of
Yeah.
token woman,
Yeah,
so,
that's
yeah, it
true
was full
actually.
of these kind of hunky what are they? Cats. I also love
Yes.
cats.
Yeah, maybe that is why you like cats. You've always held a torch,
Well, I've definitely
for
married
them.
my childhood cat many times when I was very little. I remember,
Yeah.
you know, when you play weddings, well, mine was always getting married to my cat. I don't know if it was legally binding, but we definitely got married many times in my garden. He's dead now, so I'm really a cat widow. I feel like there was a bit of an era, probably about 10 years ago, when people started getting married to random things
Yes, and objects
in
and things.
America. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and a man got married to, an inflatable. You know, like, not an inflatable woman, it was, like, one of those inflate like a crocodile or something. No, it was, like, one of those ones that you take in the pool.
Oh,
It was like a it
okay.
wasn't yeah, I think
I
that was
mean, to be
end of the
honest,
extreme.
I've been single for a while now. I would rather go out with an inflatable crocodile than a man at this point. So maybe they're onto something. But how about when
Yeah.
you getting a bit older? Do you have any crush cringes or anything like that?
I never really got asked out when we were at school. It was always, well, my best friend and your younger sister, who was like the pretty one. And so she had boyfriends. So I would be the friend sitting there, very bored, having to hang around with the boy and the boy's friends and her. And then they would snog, probably for the last 5 minutes
Yeah.
of lunchtime. And I would just have to sit there awkwardly. Um, Having never kissed actually, I had kissed somebody outside of school. My first kiss was incredibly embarrassing. I've actually still got a scar on my chin from my first kiss. I was in this place, I can't remember, I feel like it was at one of those festivals or carnival type fete type
Mm.
places, and, I didn't expect it to happen at all. There was nothing about consent in those days, was there?
No,
Or
God.
asking, "Can I kiss you?"
No.
They just went in for the kill, and
They
you just
just came
accepted
in.
it.
Yeah.
And, I was just after the unexpected kiss, which was probably a complete disaster, so I hadn't even practiced kissing at that
Oh
point.
God, no,
You know, and
yeah.
you have to practice on your hand or whatever, and then I turned to go, and the door just whacked me in my chin, and
Oh,
it went through right to my tooth. I could actually see my teeth through this huge cut in my chin because I was so embarrassed, and there was blood dripping all down my chin. But out of embarrassment,
oh
I
my
just pretended I
God.
was fine. So I
Did
never
you?
told anyone.
Yeah.
Just covered it up with a tissue in my hand all day, and that's probably why I've got such a deep scar actually, because it never got stitches. But yeah, that was the story of my first
I think that
disastrous
would have
kiss.
put me off for quite a while. I remember one of my first kisses.
What do you mean? You can only have one
Well, no,
first.
it wasn't my first kiss, but it was the first time someone went with a bit of tongue,
Mm.
and it shocked me so much. I just started choking. But I wasn't expecting it. I didn't have big sisters. I didn't really know a lot about kissing. And the only person I kissed before it was just, open and closed mouth action, bit dry. But so this tongue suddenly coming in, I was like, what the flip? So just started choking on it. Ugh. Like,
I
yeah,
mean, you
so
clearly didn't go on the French exchange. Had you gone on
no,
the French
I didn't.
exchange, you
Uh,
would have had this experience much earlier because if you snog French boys, that is the way they do it. It's true. I mean, well, it was in
is
the
it?
early 90s
Yeah.
when I was there.
Oh, well, I didn't go on that. So if had I done, then I would have been
You'd have,
prepared. No
you'd
one
have got
warned
plenty of
me. I'd
experience.
seen like people on telly kissing, but it didn't obviously show that what was going on inside. So I was
So you were
quite
basically
shocked.
stage kissing.
Yeah, I
Um,
totally. I thought that's just how you did it until this tongue came in. I was like, bloody horrified.
This is another Sylvia story because she joined an amateur dramatic society, like the local one,
Hmm.
and, it was just so happened that every play we went to see, she would be snogging somebody on stage as part of the play. I think they put on a lot of those kind of farce plays,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sometimes she would snog multiple men on
Ooh.
stage, and you would have to just sit there with this in this village hall,
Oh
just completely
God.
cringing. And yeah, it was absolutely awful. I think a lot of my embarrassment did come directly from my mother, actually.
Well, there you go, but she's provided you with material, so we've got to be grateful for that,
That's
haven't we?
and
Good old Sylvia.
definitely I remember using it was wet look gel. I don't
Oh,
know
I
where it
remember
came
that,
from.
yeah.
I remember I think there was a fashion at one time to have kind of wet looking hair,
Yes,
and I thought I'm going to try that. And I think there was a fashion at our school, wasn't it? The more
there
popular you
was, yeah.
were, the bigger the quiff at the front of
Yeah,
your hair. And I thought I'll try out this, but with wet look gel, and then that will help cement my
yeah,
popularity.
of
So I had this
course.
big boofed out quiff, but it was like wet looking. And I went to school and everybody took the mick out of me that day.
Oh,
They're like, why is
um,
your hair wet?
yeah.
Why is
But
your hair wet?
do you remember people using that wet look gel? Maybe not as to that extreme, but it was quite trendy at one
I
point.
only used it that one time.
I remember my sister, she once tried to do a look, but we didn't have any wet look gel in the house. So she used some Vaseline, this big pot of Vaseline.
Oh
I don't know if you
no.
remember her doing this. And she
Yeah.
put it all in her hair. And of course, she couldn't wash it out for ages. I don't know if you've ever covered your hair in Vaseline, but it's,
I
yeah, really
haven't.
hard
I've
to get,
covered my
really
feet in
hard to get out.
Vaseline, but not my as a
Yeah.
sort of moisturizing thing, I might add, nothing
Okay.
dodgy. Um,
Wow, exactly. So she was stuck with that for quite a few weeks till it finally came out. So I think it must have been trendy. Maybe you were trendier than you
I
thought with
definitely
that.
wasn't. And of course, this was the pre-fake tan era. And I, as you know, am naturally incredibly pale.
Mm.
And I was called Ghost for a lot of the teenage years by people in my year. They would just call me the Ghost. And it probably didn't help that I at one point dyed my hair completely black. So I think
I,
just the contrast
yeah,
probably made it worse. Um, I've
I do.
definitely used that
Yeah.
to my advantage in my working life when I've gone to work with no makeup on, and I, of course, look completely pale, and then immediately get sent home for being ill. So it was quite good. This is in my
It's
pre-teaching
quite handy in pulling
career, I might
sickie.
add.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
could just
Pulling
pull a sickie
sickies.
I could just pull a sickie
Just
immediately by just not putting any blusher on. But yeah, in fact, when I had a date a little while ago, my class when I was teaching, the girls were like, "Oh, miss, you need to tan, you need to put a fake tan on." I was like, I really don't. If I'm just going on a date, I'm really not gonna fake tan.
They do slap on the fake tan nowadays, don't they? I
Even to
think
go
that's
to
come back
school and
around. Yeah,
fake eyelashes. I mean, they've got all the equipment now. We had
Yeah,
to improvise, I think, because they've got YouTube and they've got these
yeah.
TikToks that show them how to put on makeup and everything like that. We just had to use the trial and error techniques. There's certainly nobody who was going to teach us
No,
that.
exactly. It was just guesswork, wasn't it? And there was, or just like old wives' tales, like put lemon juice on your hair to make it blonder, and basically
House.
using stuff in your house and hoping. I remember toothpaste on my spots. That was
Yeah.
that went round. I don't know if that was true, but everyone used to do that.
I definitely
So
went a bit crazy with my mum's, dressing table once, and I think I put it on my school jumper, which was it was definitely something that didn't get washed then that night, and I had to wear it the next day, and I'd actually squirted it with so much perfume that as soon as I got on the school bus, everyone was like, "What is that smell?" You know, coughing so strong.
cocktail of all her perfumes.
Um, and I had to go about all day just smelling of this perfume because I never admitted that it was coming from me.
Oh god, my mum only had one bottle of perfume, and it was a Chanel, and it was really
Oh,
expensive, and she caught me once doing it. She was like, "That's a pound a squirt. Get off that perfume."
she's probably not wrong
She's
about that.
probably not too far off, and it would last for years because she'd just have this one special bottle. So, yeah, I didn't dare nick too much of that. You would have been in trouble if you'd covered yourself in that. That would have been a £10
I
squirt
definitely don't think
session.
my parents even noticed, like, that if I was getting up and getting my uniform on, they would just let me get on with it. It was when I never
Yeah.
used to get out of bed, and the way that my mum would make me go to school is, my friend Adele used to always call for me on the way to the bus stop, and she would say, "If you don't get out of bed now, I'm gonna answer the door to Adele completely naked." And I didn't know would do it because she would sunbathe in the garden
Thing is,
topless.
your mum, I wouldn't put it past her to do that.
I'm
So
amazed I haven't seen her naked at one point because
I've
we were
seen
a
I think
naked house.
I've seen her in the garden without a top on.
Yeah,
Not
she used to sunbathe.
recently. Well, we'd been
No.
round and you were horrified that she was just laying in the
Well,
garden.
the next door neighbour always used to comment, who was like an older boy, and he always used to comment on the bus about my mum's breasts, although not in that using that particular language. So it was always a source of embarrassment. Yeah, and thank
Well,
goodness they didn't have mobile phones because that would have just been all
oh
over the
god,
internet, wouldn't it?
that would
Or
have
all
gone
round
viral.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexy school mum or
Well,
something.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
mums were sexy in those days,
Oh,
really.
I can't
Um,
remember them, very vividly. Unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, I don't know what I'm on about. Um, but anyway, should we move on from your mum's breasts? So as you got into being a grown-up, did the cringes stop? Did you have it all sorted? You know, get a job, place of your own, maybe bought an air fryer? How's your cringe levels as a grown-up?
um, I actually feel they're definitely getting better. But I feel like you never really completely stop embarrassing yourself. Actually, it was probably only last year, I think, when I dropped my son off. I'm always in a rush, in the morning, got to drop my son
Mm.
off. And then I had to rush to school when I was teaching. And I dropped him off at his breakfast club, and then I got back in my car, and then as I was driving out of the car park, fellow mum, like, flagged me down, and I wasn't even gonna stop. I thought, "She's mad. What's she doing?" And I thought maybe I've, left my coffee on the top of my
Mm.
car or something, um, and I said, Is everything alright?" And she said, "Your knickers are completely exposed."
Oh,
And I said,
no.
and I got out of my car, and actually the seam had I'd obviously just grabbed this dress from the back of my wardrobe. The seam had completely come apart, and my whole
Oh,
bum,
God.
obviously I had knickers on, but my whole knickers were completely exposed. Obviously, they didn't say anything to me at breakfast club, but thank goodness that mum
Oh,
flagged me
good on
down because
her.
I was on my way to school. I would have just got out of the car with, like, hundreds of
Yeah.
teenagers. I would never have lived that down if I'd have gone to school. So I had to, yeah, go back home and get changed. So that was really
Were they nice
embarrassing.
knickers? Or was it, don't tell me it was a thong.
It definitely wasn't a thong. My thong
Oh,
wearing days are
God.
well
Yeah.
over. It would have been, the apple catchers, the granny pants, I
Comfies,
expect. So at
comfies.
least there
At
would have
least you were
been a
covered.
at least I think it would have been no butt cheeks exposed.
You owe a lot
Um,
to that mum for saving you, I
oh,
think,
she was
'cause
my
you
savior.
but I do
Oh,
think at least these things make a funny story, and I think maybe we still have all the cringes, but they don't bother us as much as we get older. You stop caring, I think, as much about maybe being cringy. Um,
yeah, I think you can
so
definitely see the funny side of
yeah.
it at this age. You're not so worried. I think because I'm not so worried. I can't really make a fool out of myself any more than I have at other times in my life. So I kind of hardened myself against it. I think whatever has passed has put me in good stead for embarrassing moments. But there was a time when I was researching Jemima Small, because her family are very spiritual and they use crystals and things. And I was doing a lot of research around that for my book. I went to a psychic fair. And personally, I am a real skeptic around that. But because Jemima's family are so into it, I had to get quite into it. And I was chatting to this woman, and she said she had a spirit dog. And I thought, "Oh my goodness," and I've been thinking about spirit animals. I thought, "Oh no, she's one of these people," and they believe it. And because I'd been around this, I thought, "Oh wow, that's amazing. You know, what's the dog like?" And she was describing the dog and what it looked like and what it did. And I said, "You know, is it with you now?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Is your spirit dog with you now?
Yeah.
Does he come around with you?" She said, "No, not spirit dog, sheepdog." And I'd
So she probably
completely
thought you were
misheard.
mad.
She
Yeah.
thought I was, yeah, exactly. I sort of left that conversation thinking, there's no way out of that really to explain why I thought she'd said
No.
spirit dog. And I've been so enthusiastic about listening to it because I was thinking I can get this as good material for my book.
Yeah.
That I came away from that conversation much worse off than she
Yeah.
did. So yeah,
Yeah.
she must have thought I was
She
um
probably telling people
a
that
spirit
story.
animal
Yeah.
believer.
About this mad woman that thought she had a dead dog on her. Um, there you go.
Yeah. So
So
that wasn't even that long ago.
so they do still happen. Are there any particular ones you want to get off your chest before we move on to the next section?
I think the spirit dog, I think, and
Which
the exposed knickers, I don't think
I
I've got
feel
anything more
like you've
embarrassing than that.
unleashed more than anyone has in such a short space of time. Yours are just rolling off the tongue, you know.
I do think I was a bit of an awkward child and a very
Mm,
awkward teen, and I made all the mistakes. But I think that's probably why I love writing so much,
yeah.
because that's a medium where it doesn't really matter if you go wrong because nobody's
Yeah,
going to see
yeah.
it apart from you. And I was a really private writer for all of my life. In fact, the first writing that I really showed to anyone was when I showed my who then became my agent, my story being this nobody that I'd written. So I think for me, writing was always a very private thing.
Yeah.
And then now with becoming an author and everybody reads it, and actually because it's fictional, you can kind of use little moments from your childhood
Definitely.
to there's definitely a moment in my stories where I've drawn upon embarrassing
Mm.
things that my parents have done and put them into the story, or embarrassing things that I've done. Like the first kiss in Bad Influence is horrendous. She's
Yeah.
got one of those fiery, sour gobstoppers in her mouth that she doesn't want to tell the boy, so she's got all
Mm.
this saliva. So as an opposite to your dry kiss, she's got this very
Oh
wet
god. Yeah.
first kiss. So I think all of the moments that could potentially be, you know, great or romantic or something are always ruined in my books. And I think
Yeah.
that's because they've always been ruined in my real life.
Yeah. I found it quite therapeutic writing Cringe Club and getting all my childhood traumas off my chest. And also, when you're writing making it fiction, you can kind of make sure they end up a bit better.
I tend to go the opposite way. I
Yeah.
try and make them a little bit worse. So I make
Yeah,
myself
all
feel
that.
better.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so now would you say you embrace your cringe now?
Definitely. I feel much more confident and I don't worry about fitting in. And I kind of see the funny side. I mean, I did a quite a big festival uh for books. You know, I went and talked at a big festival. And when I went back into the green room, I realized I had my dress on inside out. I always tend to have these like fashion disasters. Yeah, there's definitely been moments where I've kind of, and it's always in my professional life, I think, where I've been cringy or embarrassing or done something like that. And I always feel embarrassed. But in my normal everyday life, I really don't care if
Yeah.
I embarrass myself or
Yeah.
something goes wrong. I always can find the funny side.
Yeah, exactly. So do you have any cringy hobbies or anything like that? Or perhaps that you think are cool, but other people might deem to be a bit cringy?
Well, Um, I'm currently completing a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, I
I
didn't
don't
know
know if that's
this.
quite
What is it? What's it of? I
It's
need to know.
actually one that I got from a charity shop. I do a lot of charity
Yeah.
shopping, and I happened to spot this one. So it's actually a Harry Potter one, which has got a lot of white space on it.
Yeah.
So it's quite
Ooh,
a
tricky.
challenging one. And my son is helping me. Well, yeah, he's not as good as I am. But I do, if I'm doing something, I kind of am one of those all-in people. So whatever I'm doing, I'll commit to it 100%. So this is like day 3 of completing this jigsaw puzzle, and yeah, I am definitely quite enjoying it.
I've not got the patience for a jigsaw puzzle, but I know what you mean about being all in. Like the Where's Wally books. I have a bit of a thing for them. I really enjoy searching for the Wally, but the only thing is, once I've started, I have to do the whole book.
So I've definitely given up on those. I'm not into those at all. I like things that I know I can
I
achieve,
know.
and the Where's
Well,
Wally are, like, famously hard because they stick everybody
they're
in that
really
the same
hard.
jumper.
And you
So
get so
and he's got
excited, but it turns up to be Waldo.
I suppose that's the idea, it doesn't really stick out. So,
But
no, I've not been into the Where's Wally. I don't think my
well,
son would even know the Where's
the
Wally
joy
book.
when you find him though is unbelievable. That high, that's what I'm chasing. The Wally high.
I don't think I do anything that I would consider
No, I don't think you do.
geeky, really.
No. I think I'd probably watch a few dorky TV shows, 4 in a big old bed and breakfast challenge.
What?
I know it sounds really dodgy, but it's actually it's about bed and breakfast, like 4 people
I bet it
compete.
is.
They all they all own a bed and breakfast, right? And then they go to each other's and they rate it. Um, I just get yeah.
You
But
used to really like Come Dine With Me, and I
I
feel like
love
that's a
it.
similar genre, and
It's
didn't you
very
even
similar.
do a Come Dine With Me? Because I remember I was living abroad at that point, and I think you did a Come Dine With Me, and I was
We
quite
did.
gutted that I
You
didn't get
wanted
to
yeah.
join in.
Yeah, we did it with a few of us, and we've still got the videos actually, and so we filmed every episode. And I think my sister Laura, she won
Did
somehow. We
she?
all yeah we all put
She's a good cook.
we all put a tenner in, which was the prize money.
We
So
should do that again, actually. I feel like that's my level of geek, I think that I could do, a Come Dine With Me
well,
real
yeah,
life.
let's do it because we all get together and play Taskmaster, don't we? Some people might find that dorky.
Well, I don't know if I'm playing with you again, because I feel like I was downgraded on a lot of my tasks where I should have got the top points.
It was all fair, Tamsin.
This is what I get annoyed about, because I feel like there was favoritism going on with the
Mm.
judging. But, I've got to accept what happened.
Okay, right. Final part of the show is Cringes Anonymous, where we help someone with their cringe dilemmas. Okay, we just offer them a bit of advice. So here we go. The first one is from Mr. Cringe. He says, I fell over in the canteen and dropped my jacket potato right in front of this girl I have a crush on. Do I have to avoid her forever? Oh,
Oh,
that's
that
a
is
tricky
sad.
one.
I think we could have
Yeah,
done with some more information about the reaction.
I
I mean, it
know.
depends. If it landed on her foot, um, I think that could potentially be a romance killer. But if that was in a
Yeah.
rom-com, that could be in a rom-com where
Yeah,
you drop the
true.
potato, you both go to pick it up, you lock eyes, and that's the love
Both
story.
hands on the
I
well,
don't
yeah,
think I believe in fate and destiny, and I feel like that potato might have been directing him to the love
maybe.
of his life.
The
So I think
potato was rolling towards his soulmate.
exactly. So don't avoid that person. I think you've got now a topic of conversation of I'm that
Yeah,
potato
I'm
guy.
potato boy. Or even really lean into it and then drop a different bit of food in front of her every day. you know.
I think it's got to be something that rolls or
Yeah,
doesn't
maybe an
stick to the
apple,
floor. I
a
think an
cheese roll,
apple,
a
a
sausage,
satsuma, uh,
sausage,
a
maybe.
sausage. I don't
You
know. I
work
think you've got to go for vegan or vegetarian options because you don't
just in
know what that
case.
person.
Yeah. And what a good story if you end up together.
Think if it were me, I wouldn't be offended by a jacket potato rolling my way.
I would think it was funny because I'd come and probably tell all my friends someone just dropped their jacket potato
I
in
think
front
it's
of
the
me.
falling over that would
Yeah. That's because you're
would probably
picturing
be
him,
the.
aren't you? And was it a bean-filled jacket potato and like he went smack bang onto the floor? But
I
still,
fall over all the time. I
Yeah,
do.
me
I'm really
too.
clumsy. I've fallen over at school. I mean, watching your teacher fall over, that's awful.
That's yeah.
I did notice a difference actually when I worked in Singapore. When I fell over there, the children would be very sympathetic, immediately come to your aid. Whereas in Britain, they would
Oh
just
no.
laugh at you from
Because
a distance.
I blame You've Been Framed. We all watched that for so many years. Anyway, Mr. Cringe, just own it. See it as the beginning of your love story, maybe, and drop a different thing in front of it every day. So I hope that helps. Next one, we have Frappy C. My BFF dared me to shout trout instead of yes when we did the register. She was supposed to shout carp, but she didn't. But I did mine first, and now I just look weird. What do I do? Oh,
I
well,
think that's funny. I
I
would
think it's
find that very
funny.
funny.
And I suppose it would look, especially if your friend didn't stick to her end of the bargain.
It looks like
Um,
you've done it by accident. And,
yeah.
you may be known as Trout for a few weeks or months afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think keep saying different fish every day and you'll be known as Fish Girl. But as for your best friend, I think you need to own this just to make that little chicken feel bad for not shouting out hers. And then you'll get well popular and she'll be like, if only, because if she shouts out carp now, she's going to look like she's copying you and it wasn't part of the thing. Oh, so I hope we managed to help you with your cringes. I think we did quite a good job there, Tam, don't you?
Oh, I think we solved them. Totally.
Exactly. So, can you tell us a bit about what you've got coming up before you go?
Yeah, so I'm writing a series, my first series for tweens and young teens. So I'm working on the first book of that at the moment. I'm also writing my first book for adults, which is also very exciting. So yeah, I've got quite a lot in the pipeline.
Cool. Sounds exciting. We will definitely look out for that. But thank you so much for coming. How do you feel having unleashed that cringe?
I feel the enormous burden that has been holding me back my entire life has now been lifted.
Well, there
So it
you
was very
go.
freeing. And I do think it is important to just accept your cringe and get it out in the open.
Definitely. And we embrace our cringe and we are proud of that. So keep on cringing, Tamsin.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thanks again, Tamsin, for joining me in the Cringe Club today. Look out for her brilliant book, I Dare You. If you want to submit an anonymous cringe, then please email me at cringeclubcrew@gmail.com or find me on Instagram at emilyjane.clark. Anyway, keep on cringing, everyone. Bye.